So probably I've divided this into three parts, research methodology. So first I will be discussing part 1, then later on part 2, and then part 3. Okay. So basically, let us see the, ma'am, can you confirm my voice as well as I'm audible and visible to you?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you're
Thank
audible and it is visible, sir.
you. Okay, thanks so much. Yeah. So if I talk about the definition of a research, it is very peculiar, like how we can define it. Okay, so there are different ways of defining it. So what is in crux, I can say a careful investigation for a new facts in any branch of knowledge. Okay, so and other way, if I talk about Redman and Mori has given the definition as research is a systematic effort to gain new knowledge. So naturally, when you do something new, okay, so that we call it as a, generally we call it as a research, right? So in continuation, we can see the other definitions also, like defining and redefining the problems. You can redefine a problem in the other way around. That also constitutes to the research. Then formulating hypothesis and setting up the objectives, right? So this hypothesis generally they are used in the when we analyze data. Okay, when we have something data which we needs to analyze, then we apply the hypothesis over there, right? Collecting, organizing, and evaluating the data. So whatever data you have collected, it needs to be organized and it needs to be evaluated. So there are different tools which are available where we can play with this data. Okay. And SPSS is one of the tools where people are using nowadays to analyze the data that they have collected. Like earlier in the earlier talk, I was telling you about the IoT. So this IoT, whatever data it is fetching, right, in the form of temperature or in the form of moisture content in the air, and it is seamlessly transmitting this data in the form of digital data in say remote area. So with that is a way of correlating that data with the point collecting, organizing, and evaluating the data over here. Okay, so sometimes we get a scrap data also, so that also needs to be identified and that needs to be eliminated, right? So making deduction and reaching the conclusions. Yeah, naturally, when you do some research, you need to deduce some important points, and you need to reach some conclusions. Okay. For example, if I design an antenna, for example, I was talking about that FR2 bands, 28 and 38 gigahertz, right? So if I design an antenna for say 20 gigahertz, and if I say it is working in FR2 band, it doesn't make any sense. Why? Because the 20 gigahertz doesn't fall in FR2 bands. I need to design antenna for FR2 28 gigahertz band. So I design for 20 gigahertz and I say it as a 5G antenna. It is a senseless thing. So we need to reach out a very conclusive conclusions, whatever we are doing with the research, right? Testing the conclusions to determine whether they fit the formulating hypothesis or objectives or not. So it's very important. So whenever you're talking about the data, they need to be very conclusive, and by using hypothesis methodology, you need to come to a conclusion, very effective conclusion. Now, the question comes: why should we do research? What is the need of doing this? So here are a few points which I have deployed over here. Probably you might add something to this. Desire to get research degree along with its consequent benefits. Naturally, when we do master's degree and from master's to PhD degree, so this research is a very vital role in awarding these degrees, because they are part of the they are one of the credential in awarding of these degrees, right? Desire to face the challenges in solving the unsolved problem. So this research is not everyone's bread and butter actually. Okay, so you should have a zeal of facing the challenges and solving the unsolved problems. Okay, so then only you will be getting interested over there. By force, it is not possible to do any research, right? Desire to get intellectual joy of doing some creative work. See, some people are they're very passionate about their work. Right? They're very serious and very passionate about their work. So why it is so? Because it provides them the intellectual joy over a long period of time by doing some creative work. desire to be of service to the society. Naturally, I was talking about in the earlier talk, I was talking about the smart cities, healthcare applications, and all those things, right? So naturally who is the ultimate beneficiary? Ultimate beneficiary is the society. So that is the ultimate goal of doing some type of research. Okay, desire to get respectability. Naturally, when your profile is very high and you get lot of respect in the society also. So that is one of the key factor why people are doing research. Okay, these are the few points which I mentioned over here. Some might agree and some might add some fewer points over there, right? Directives of government, employment conditions, etc. So naturally, this research is also correlated to the directions given by the government in attaining any type of higher degrees. Okay, naturally, the employment conditions or the nowadays we have a lot of accreditations going on, and this is the hour of the need now that the research vertical needs to be upgraded and uplifted at all verticals, like publishing a paper, getting your patent granted. Okay, so providing and then you're going for the consultancy, guiding the PhD scholars, and there are many verticals where if I talk about the research, it is not only limited to your publishing a research article. You just remember that. So this research insight has a lot of meanings over here. Now, what to do when we start a research? Naturally, we need to choose a subject. You cannot, for example, the person working in the say commerce field, he cannot probably take a science subject because it is not his area of research. So choosing a subject within that subject itself, it's a very important. So how one can get help in choosing a subject. So it can be based on an idea. It can be based on your experience. Probably, if I talk about experience, it simply says that you like the one. For example, if you're reading different subjects in the UG scenario, probably 30 to 40 subjects you might be studying during your UG course. So for a particular subject, you might get more interested. Okay, so that is based on your experience and based on your reading. Then, then the originality comes into picture. Whatever you choose, the originality in the research is very, very important. Now, if I talk about the important features of a research design, now it has a flow which I've shown over here. First, you should have a plan. Specify the sources and types of information relevant to the research problem. So you need to do some homework before going for the research. Like you need to go into a very intensive literature survey, right? So which will be help you to come out with a plan, or it will give a path in future that what are the unsolved problems still prevailing and how you can tackle them. So that is the basic motive of any research, which I have just told you in the earlier slide. So we need to adopt a strategy, which is also very important. And how this can be fulfilled? Can be fulfilled by gathering and analyzing the data. If it is a data-centric research, okay. The time and budgets. It's very important that you do the research timely. For example, if I design an antenna for 5G, and if I say that I will be using in 2040, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, because the technology is going to be changed. The 6G is going to be implemented, and there is no fun in I'm working in the older or the area which has already been washed out of the market. So it is very important that you do the thing timely, and you need to also evaluate the budget for which the research you are doing. For example, you started with a research and for example, you need a X amount. Later you came to know that the amount is not X, it is X plus Y. But how are you going to accommodate that plus Y funds from where you are going to get it? So again, that will be a constraint in your research. So all these parameters, you need to take care when you are going to start a research design. Now, what are the characteristics of a research? See, very simple thing. It should be a systematic way. All steps must be interrelated to one another. Now, how can I correlate this? See, systematic way in the sense, for example, I cannot directly start to design an antenna without the prior knowledge or without the prior art of work or simply without a literature survey. So you need to carry out very intensive literature survey. Now, the literature survey is also a very complex entity in case of the characteristics of research. Like you cannot simply rely on the low standard research articles. Okay, and you can assume that uh, whatever I'm doing, I'm on the right path. Okay, so you need to ensure the quality of the research articles which you are creating a database. And remember one thing, please stick to the high quality journals and high quality papers for your reference so that you can get ensured whatever you are learning or whatever you're reading or whatever you're noting down the important points or the research gaps which you're finding from that research articles are really implementable. Okay, so that will ensure this systematic, logical. Naturally, it should be very logical, agreeing with the principles of logic. So you cannot go beyond the principles and you can say that I'm going to design an antenna which is not going to support Maxwell's equations. So it doesn't make any sense, right? They should be empirical. Conclusions should be based on the evidences and the observations. It is naturally. So if we talk, see why I'm talking, taking an example of antenna because I actually work in this field of area. So if I talk about my antenna design, I need to give the evidence and observations in the form of results. That whatever the objective I have set for my research paper, it meets the objectives and with the evidences in the form of results and with the observations. Okay. Okay. Now, with a small introduction of what is research and why to do research and what is the methodology, which I covered in part one. So let us move to part two, little bit broader side, and let us try to understand the concepts, how we can start a research and how we can develop it. Right? Now, very important thing that how to write a research paper, right? It's very important thing. So useful tips for academic writing. I will just discuss over here. What exactly is research? See, you can just see over here. It is defined as incentive search with the purpose of becoming certain. So you should be very certain whatever you are getting the output. Now you just see over here. I have break this research into two parts. Re is a prefix actually and searcher. So if I club this together, the word researcher has come into picture. It is a systematic way of investigating into reality to gain knowledge, right? The use of, so I will complete this slide. The use of extracting knowledge in a new and creative way. Why? To fill gaps of knowledge in knowledge. Okay. Generate new concepts and methodologies. Naturally, when you're working with the new technology, you will be coming out with the new concepts or the new methodologies proposed. For example, you might have proposed a very new antenna for say a 5G or 6G communication. So naturally, they belong to the new concepts, and probably you must have the other. You must have your own methodology so that the methodology is also totally different with the prior methodologies which are available. So representing thing in a better way and to better understanding. So this is the basic existing knowledge one should have in a creative way so that they can go forward to write a research article. Now, creation of a new knowledge. See, these are all correlated when you are going for any research article. Okay, find answers to things that are unknown. Naturally, when you're writing something new, you should know the answers of the unknown things. Okay, and how it can be correlated to the economic growth and how it can be helpful to the increased competitiveness, where we can offering a high quality product more efficiently and at a lower cost. So this is your product effective research, what we are talking about in a creation of a new knowledge. Okay, so there is a continuation now. So prepare a perception. So before you go into the writing a research paper, you need to have a clear perception in your mind that how I'm going to draft it and how I'm going to complete it and how I'm going to publish it. Okay. So get the problem from surrounding. So it's naturally, see, this is very important point that the main problem is to find a problem. Okay, the research generally we think what kind of problem we can encounter so that we can think of. So you have to think. We say this keyword again and again. We have to think out of the box. Think out of the box. So that is the thing. You just have to see your surroundings and you need to identify the problem and you need to cater the problem and you need to give the solution to that problem. So that is nothing but research because you are doing the unsolved problem and you're giving the solution to that problem. Okay, so and you're every time you need to record it. Whatever you're doing, you need to record it. The reason is, for example, something came in my mind by looking at the surrounding problem. I just didn't record it, and the next day I will forget it, and I will not be able to recall what was the key point that I was able to judge from the problem which was from the surrounding area. So the record is very important. Now design and development. Again, this is a very important vertical in case of your research work. So break the problem into sub problem. So this is a way of approaching a problem. Straight away, as a whole, you don't see the problem as a whole. You try to break that problem in parts. Okay, and then you can create a blueprint of each problem. You can combine each sub solution, and you can just by the addition of that all these sub problems, you can come out with the problem solving for the particular problem which you have encountered. Okay. Now, what is the motivation of research? Important. Motivation of research is nothing but one important criteria is entry for academia. Naturally, people who are done their masters and who are in the education field, they need to complete their PhD due to the norms. So this is one of the motivation of doing a research because in during your PhD work itself, you are going to solve an unsolved problem. Okay, and you're going to give a methodology. Okay, you're going to find out the research gaps. Okay, and you're going doing a lot of things. So to start with, as I've told you earlier, you need to create a very high quality database of research articles before you do it. And before that, you need to identify the area of research which you want to get into it. Now you will face the challenges, desire to get the solution of the unsolved problems. Naturally, it is a challenge, and naturally, when we talk about the research itself, we are going to solve an unsolved problem over there. Satisfy intellectual, which I've already told you earlier. Okay, naturally, we are when we are solving an unsolved problem, we are giving something to the society. So we give the service to the society by solving an unsolved problem in one or the other way. Okay. And then social status, which already I have told you. So it will increase your social status also in the society. Now perception, method one. Let us see. Ask yourself important questions. Choosing your topic. What questions you can ask yourself for to start with the research is the first and most significant step in research paper project. It is necessary to keep a few questions in mind. What are they? What are those questions? Is there enough research available on this topic? It is very, very important parameter. Now I will tell you one example. For example, if one want to work in 6G communication, okay, they propose a 6G communication antenna. We know the frequency that it is going to work for 90 gigahertz or 1 terahertz frequency range. Now one says that I want to design a prototype for 6G communication. Do you think it will make a sense? It will not make a sense. Why? Because the research has not started in that area. Now, what difficulty you will face? You will face that you won't find any literature related to that area. So it means that there is no enough research available. So that is very important parameter. I just taken an example and I've told just trying to explain what is the meaning of enough research available. So before starting any research, you need to ensure that you have enough research articles, books, okay, thesis, whatever the things are available related to your research are abundantly available and easily accessible to you. Is the topic unique and new enough that I can provide fresh opinions? Naturally, you cannot choose a outclass topic. Say, if I say I want to work in 2G communication, second generation, it doesn't make any sense because that is already outclass technology now. Okay, that is already vanished from the market, and it doesn't make any sense that if I talk that I will be working in 2G communication, and it also doesn't make a sense that I say I want to work in 6G communication. One is already outclassed, and the another is the future technology. So it is, so these are the two ends of the research, and in between this you have to search a problem. Okay, so you have to see the latest thing. So if I say that I want to work in 5G communication, now this statement makes a sense to me because this is existing technology, and there are a lot of problems that need to be solved by using this 5G technology. Okay. Now choosing a topic or choose a topic that you have interest about, which I've already told you earlier also. Okay, don't take a topic which is not area of your research, because you will be facing problem in your future. Okay, and without interest, if you do something, and it will be very difficult for you to cater to publish a research article in coming future. Okay, and stay original. Please make ensure that whatever research you are doing, it is a original form, not published by anyone, because the concept of plagiarism is very important. You need to cater it. You need to know it. Okay, all the clauses given by the UGC, so that you follow all the norms, and your research stays original, right? The source of related work. Now there are different sources nowadays. It is the past 20 years or 2 decades before, it was not so. It was very difficult to find the online resources. Okay, we had only provision of the hard copy of the books or the some research articles. So now it's not so. The things have changed drastically. So the source of related work is very important. That's why I tell again and again. First, you need to identify the area of research of your interest. Then you need to create a database, okay, of that research papers or whatever form you get it, and you need to read it, okay, and you need to identify the research gaps from there. So this is the methodology how we come to find a new problem, and then we give a solution to that problem, right? See, if you are the source of, like, you visit the library, if your library is well equipped with the hard copies, and again, nowadays the libraries are well equipped with the digital data over here. In some case, if there's some constraints in your library, you can approach the government institutes, okay, so that they have well equipped digital libraries over there, and you get the permission so that you can download a few documents from there. For example, when I started my PhD in the year 2014, I visited IIT Kanpur 2 times, 2014 and 13 and 14 respectively. So what we did, we collected lot of digital thesis from there, and it was very helpful for me. So if you ask someone, it is not possible you to get those thesis from there. So this is the way out of reaching to the digital content by visiting the library. You can look online data, because there are a lot of open source journals available over here. Like if I talk few of them, like MDPI journals, okay, they are open source. Okay, so Indavi journals, they are open source. Easily you can download the papers from there without giving any cost. So you need to stick such kind of resources where you can create a database. Okay. So use database which are related to your subject only. Naturally, you have to filter out the unrelated papers or something document which are not related to your research. Okay. Then get creative with your research. If you get one really interesting book or journals that completely covers your topic, look into the words site. See, this is very important now. You might get the interesting facts of your work in either in the form of a book or in a form of a bibliography or in form of a reference. So what you need to do, you need to cite it. Whenever you are doing publishing any paper, please cite that, so that the database um, will become importance to you, and you get all the information from that place. Annote your research. Once you've collected your research, print it out. Okay, so that is very important. You need to read line by line, and you need to underline the important points. You can keep highlighter with you, and you need to read each and everything, and you need to conclude what the outcome of this paper is. Along with, you also need to cater the research gaps. So what is the research gap which were not covered by that particular paper? So you have to write it down in a, see, what is the best method I will tell you to do this activity of finding out the research gap. For example, you have identified, for example, I have identified an antenna field. For example, I want to work in a 28 gigahertz millimeter wave band. I have hundreds of paper related to this 28 gigahertz millimeter wave band. What I do, I create a comprehensive table, and I create a very sensible columns, okay, related to what are the parameters I need to fill in that column. And once I complete it, that table itself will tell you what are the gaps which are not covered over there by looking at the table itself. So this is the one way of approaching or annotating your research. So this is the one of the methodology which I apply to annotate my research. Okay. So organize your notes. Naturally, it is very important that whatever database has been created, you need to create a folder, and always you need to know where you have um, placed your folders so that you don't struggle in searching your database itself. Okay, so it's very important of organizing your database, right? Construct a preliminary bibliography references page, which I've already told you. Nowadays, you have a lot of bibliography referencing software. So you can use those softwares like EndNote, and you can go for Mendeley software, which is open. Mendeley is an open source. So you can manage your database using this referencing software, right? Now, if I talk about a research paper, see, I have just mentioned few points over here. A research paper is a manuscript in which you explain what you have learned after exploring your topic in depth. So that is the conclusion, or that is the content which is needed to be put in the any research paper. You also use your own ideas, knowledge, and opinions, which you reflect in this manuscript. Right? The goal of a research paper is to bring togetherness, different views, evidence, and facts about the topic from books and different other sources. If you're writing a review article, right? So this review article is again a research paper, so that which can give different views, evidences, and facts which you have already learnt, and you are putting it in that paper. It's about the relationship between you, other writers, and your target audience. Naturally, how you can get related with the other writers. See, once when you cite a paper of any writer, okay, the intimation. Now we have a methodology of getting intimation to the any of the writer, so that there will be a bond get connected between you and the writers and the target audience for which this audience will be reading out this paper which you're going to which your paper has been published. It's very important. So there will be a close connection. If you're written very high quality paper, it will be acknowledged by the other writers also, and it will be acknowledged by the target audience also. Okay, and you will get more and more citations according to the quality of paper by your target audience who are working in the same area of research. So in a research paper, you include information from sources such as books, articles, interviews, and internet set. So whatever the sources is not only limited to articles, okay, they're related to different categories which have been shown over here. And you can also include thesis, okay, so which are available. You can use the resource Shodh Ganga, okay, which is a reservoir of thesis. So you can download the thesis from there for the area of research related to your work. It's a very important. It's a very informative database which has been created by the Government of India, okay, by Shodh Ganga. Now the question comes how to write. Again, writing paper. See, you have done with your research everything. Now, writing a paper is also an art. Okay. See, coming out with the outcomes of the research is one art, and putting that outcome of that research in the paper form is another art. So you have to correlate these two credentials, and you need to know how to write, what you should represent, so that your paper can get published. Okay. So structure of a paper you already know. It runs. You first give the title, then you come with the abstract, introduction, literature review. You mention the methodology. You give the results. Okay. Discussion, and then you come to the conclusion. Then you come to the references, and if there are appendices, you can also include these appendices in your paper. So this is basically a structure of a paper, which everyone probably knows over here. I'm not going much into detail. So title, very important. See, what are the key factors when you look at the title? Must reflect the theme of the entire manuscript. So whenever I read a title, it should put a focus in my mind. Okay, this is the topic on which this complete manuscript is relied on or written about. Okay, So systematically and grammatically, they should be very correct because you're going to get comments related to these two parameters. They should be phonetically and grammatically very correct. So if I talk about grammatically, you can just download the free version of Grammarly software, which is available. When you install it, the plugin get added with your Word file, and simply the articles or spelling mistakes can be corrected by using this Grammarly software itself. Okay, so you need to do all this activity when you're doing some research. Capitalize each word when you're talking only about the title right now. Use a single phrase. Okay? So don't use different sentences over here. Avoid abbreviation like comma, okay, semicolon, and all those things. A range of 10 to 15 words. It should not be a long paragraph type like your title. So this is actually recommended whenever you're giving a title to any paper. No affiliation. It's very important. Very, very important. Your affiliation should be very correct. You should always ask your dean research about the affiliation, what affiliation should go in your research article before communicating. Okay, because this affiliation will be counted in your university account also, and this affiliation will be counted in the particular author name also, along with the other people who are associated with you. Okay, so this affiliation parameter is very important. Define affiliation of college university. It's already been given by the university or college, so you need to know what affiliation you're supposed to use. Try to use always official email ID, okay, instead of your personal mail ID. And you always need to declare a corresponding author in the manuscript when you're submitting for review purpose. And if I talk about abstract, now it is a summary of the body of the information that everyone knows. It expresses the main aim and arguments of the paper. Now, questions that an abstract must include. Why did you do this study of project? So you need to answer all these questions in the abstract. You have to ask yourself, and you need to find the answer. And because you've already written the paper, right? So you know all the answers of these questions. It is not a new thing. Why? What did you do and how? That methodology you need to explain in the form of abstract itself. Okay. What did you find? It's very important. What did you conclude from your research work? What your findings mean? Then how your findings are helpful to the society. That is very important. Okay. So selection of keywords. You can just see what are do's and don'ts. You can just see the selection of the keywords is also very important. Few people take it very lightly. And see these keywords, whenever you're searching any research article also, you use the keywords, right? So when you're using the keywords over there, why not technically you use the keywords over here, which makes a lot of sense, and it will be helpful to the general also, okay, to find the relevant data. So minimum to maximum 3 to 8 keywords, and it depends upon the one of researcher or the publisher that how much keywords they allow. Arrange in alphabetical order. Try to arrange in the alphabetical order. Use to speed up the research processes. Yeah, that's what I told you. Why these are helpful? Because it speed up your research process. What are the don'ts? Don't use words or phrases from the title as keywords. So very important. Don't use the words which are used in the title itself. Now, how do I generate keywords from my research? These are some methodologies. Write out your research question. Pull out the most important words from your research question. Think of synonyms of these keywords. Okay, so these are the few points from where you can extract your keywords, or you can generate your keywords from the research which you're going to do in future. Now, the introduction part. What you need in introduction part? See, generally in introduction part, you need to tell about the literature survey. Okay, in a paper we call it as generally a literature survey itself, or we talk about the introduction. So you need to introduce the research which you are going to conduct based on the prior published work. Okay, so present your topic and get the reader interested. It's very important. The one should not get bored. Or straight away you don't write something directly. You don't write the sentences from the research article itself. Initially, you need to write a paragraph of your own related to your work. It's very important. Okay, straight away you don't give the citation of the research articles which you have taken for references. Okay, that's not the way, not the methodology of approaching to write a research over here. Statement of the scope of study, why the topic is worth research. You need to explain this in introduction itself. statement of the research objectives which you have framed for your research of which you have framed during your PhD tenure. You need to mention that because it will um, support your research objectives also, which you have given in the research proposal, right? So these are the literature reviews which you probably you can follow. Narrow your topic and select papers accordingly. You you need to narrow your research. It should not be wide open, and the research articles which you have which you are using as a reference, it should not be covering wider area. Okay, so you need to squeeze it, and you need to narrow down that path also. So search for literature. See, there are different methodology of searching the literature. Okay, you have different sources available, and what is the best way? What I do actually sometimes, if I don't find any research article, or even if I'm not able to get any research article, I directly write to the author of that paper, and many times you get help, and definitely they will help you out by sending the copy of that research paper. Okay, so this is the way of getting approaching and searching the literature. This is one of the methodology, and you can have the subscription which are available in your library. You can download the data from there. Okay, you can use keywords, search a library database. Okay, so there are different methodologies which has been mentioned over here for searching a literature. Now, literature review, the continuation. Read the selected articles thoroughly and evaluate them. See, what is my suggestion is use only the quality database and quality research articles published by the reputed publishers, okay, throughout the world. Don't go for the local publishers, or you just you have to decide yourself. Okay, because probably you might be not knowing whether these results are authenticated or not. So that authentication is very important when you are doing this, right? Organize the selected papers by looking for patterns and by developing the subtopics. Now, methodology continuing, just I've explained this all these things. Methodology, how you analyze your data, just I will, okay. How you analyze your data, see you have to ask question about yourself related to this methodology. Which methodology you are going to deploy to execute your methodology over here? Any tools or materials you use in the research? If you have used any software tools, see, nowadays actually all the research are tools based research. Okay, so without tools it is very difficult for you to find the findings of any research. It might be a data handling tool like SPSS, or it can be the 3D tool like HFSS, or it can be any tool, any other tool, okay, which is very important. Your rationale for choosing these methods, the methodology selection, and generally be written in the past tense. Okay. Conclusion. Now, talk about the conclusion part. The purpose of conclusion is to restate your paper, summarizes the main points of your research paper. So you need to, when you're writing a conclusion, it's very important what you want to tell to the target audiences, and what are their thoughts and what are the outcomes of your research in the form of conclusion. Now, writing bibliography, again, I'm not going to talk much about it because we already know, because it depends from person to person how they are going to generate their bibliography section. Okay. Now, types of references you already know. See, these are the different types. That is American cycle. This is a format of any research article. We have IEEE format. Okay, we have MLA format, APA format, Oxford format, Harvard format, Chicago format. So you need to ensure in whichever journal you're submitting the paper, the type of referencing, which style of referencing that particular journal utilizes. So you need to stick to that. It's not like you're simply putting Harvard referencing style, and the requirement of that particular journal is APA. Okay, so what happens? The paper will be sent back to you, and so that actually create a negative impact on your submitted research paper. So don't take anything lightly when you're submitting a research article. Stick to everything, whatever is mentioned by the particular journal. You need to fulfill their requirement, whether it's a single column, double column, everything you need to know. Okay, font size, okay, whether 10, 12 times New Roman, what should be the caption of the figure size caption? It should be 8, 10, 12, whatever the directions has been given by the submitting journal. You need to adhere to it. It's very important. Like this now. Now everyone know this is not a new thing. Please don't copy paste anything, and do any paraphrasing, or nowadays the chat GPT is getting very active. Please don't stick to those kind of sources where, because you will be landing in a big trouble. Okay, so this is my suggestion. You whatever, see, the best way what you can do, please write everything on a paper in your own language. Okay, then you just put it in the digital form. You can type it, and I can ensure you whatever you write by yourself, it will make sense. And the problem of removing plague will be, where you won't have any problem related to removing the plague from the document, because removing the plague from a document is a very big headache, and I hope many of you might have experienced it. So what I do, what methodology I deploy, or and same thing I have given it to my students also. They have a spiral binding book, okay, and whatever introduction I want to write, I write it own by my own words, and by taking the conclusion of the standard research papers. And I will tell you honestly, whenever I take a plague, my document plague doesn't go more than 10 to 12%. But still, I have to reduce that 2%, because the level plague is not more than 10%. Okay, so this is the methodology which you can deploy, or you can find out some other way out of reducing the plague. Okay. No, be original and don't plagiarize. So this is very important. You can just see passing of someone. Now, what do I meaning by plague? You can just see the definitions have been given over here. Passing of someone else's work as your own, whether we do this deliberately or not. So it doesn't it doesn't depend whether you're done it deliberately or not, or knowingly or unknowingly. But again, it is a plague. Okay, so you will be falling in a very big offense. Not acknowledging when using information, data, figures, or graphics from the other writers. See, for example, if I'm using some figure which I copy pasted from say some journal or somewhere else, I need to cite it. Okay, in the publishing paper, very important. You can use it. It's not a big issue, but you need to cite that paper. Okay, inadequately paraphrasing a source. So again, you have to be very careful while doing this. Plagiarism versus paraphrasing. See, there's a difference between what is plagiarism and what is paraphrasing. So direct quote from research, non-plagiarized paragraph. Okay. So Japan, see, you can just see example has been taken over here. What do I mean by plagiarism and what do I mean by paraphrasing? You can just read it and you can just take get the conclusion. This is the plague as it is copied on the left hand side, and right hand side you can see it is paraphrased, which is not allowed. Paraphrase is also not allowed. Okay, so don't think that this doesn't come under plague. Please be very careful while doing this, and you need to cite. Okay, I'm again pressing that point. Citation is very important. Consistency format. Yeah. See, you should not take it very granted that okay, let us submit the paper and let us see where we will format when the reviews come. No, this is a very bad habit, or a very wrong approach of writing a paper and submitting to the journal. As I've told you earlier, you need to follow all the methodologies mentioned by the journal itself. Okay. So, formatting your research paper. Again, the guidelines have been given over here, which you can just read it out, and you can just employ in your research. Formatting, see, the MLA guidelines and APA guidelines are already given, and the requirement of these guidelines are already available online. So you can just check it, and you can just deploy in your research articles, right? Again, formatting research paper continued. So again, there are different ways. If you're citing a book, what should be the format of citing a book in MLA format and in APA format? The example has been taken over here and it is given over here. Moreover, it is already available on the website of the particular journal in which you're submitting the paper. Okay, so these are general instructions you should follow. Follow the organization structure you developed above, including the headings and subheadings you constructed. So these all topics which we already discussed in the earlier slide. You need to follow these general instructions before submitting any research article. Don't be in a hurry, because it is your research article. Read it very carefully. Okay. Remove all the spelling mistakes. Probably there might be typographical error. So you need to correct those typographical errors, which are very important, because they are going to have a negative impact on any of the editor-in-chief when you're submitting the paper or the reviewer itself. So these are general instructions continue. You have to read your work out loud, which I'm telling you again and again. Okay. There should be no grammatical or spelling errors before submitting the manuscript. Don't make a conclusion that we will see when the paper comes for review. Okay. Probably the editor-in-chief might see the quality of the paper and he might reject your paper at the initial stage itself. He won't say that because of the grammatical or spelling errors I have rejected this paper. See, going to a reviewer is the second stage. First, when you submit the paper, it goes in the hands of editor-in-chief. Okay, this is a way out. So initially, when it is a negative impact, he won't assign any reviewer to your paper, and probably the rejection might come from the editor-in-chief itself. Sentence should be flow smoothly and logically. Read it so that it makes a meaningful. Write abstract fit title after completion of full paper. Now there are different softwares available to take care of the references, like EndNote is one among them. So again, this is difference between general and conference. You can just see you get faster feedback in case of conference, take longer to be published, hence feedback received is slower. So these are the few comparisons. But again, according to the norms or the requirement of the university or the college, you need to publish both kind of research papers in the form of conference also, in the form of general publication also. Finish. You did it. Now let us come to part 3. Now I will be taking it very fast. Now IP is nothing but the intellectual property, and why it is important to us. Okay. So this is another vertical of research over here. So to safeguard new and exciting inventions. So probably IP, you're filing the patents, and many of you are doing this activity. Okay. So I hope why the protection of intellectual property is important to us. So these are the few guidelines or which will give you the eye opener of protecting your ideas actually to safeguard new and exciting invention. Otherwise, what will happen? You might have shared your idea with someone else, and if he files that patent, and if it is not granted, then it is not your idea. You might have shared this idea with someone else. Okay, so you at the initial stage itself, you need to protect it. And how you are going to protect it? It is called intellectual property right. How you are going to protect it? By filing a patent. It can be design patent, it can be a utility patent, it can be a copyright. Okay, it can be anything, right? Protects job and you and your family by preventing outsourcing copying of work. Naturally, that's why we go for the filing of our intellectual property rights. So what is a patent? In simple language, all inventions begin with an idea. Naturally, you're sitting in some place and you something struck in your mind by seeing. For example, you might be seeing something and a problem. There is some problem which has not been solved. Okay, so some idea comes into your mind and you find a solution to that. So that can be that can be in the form that can be patented in the form of design patents. Okay, you need to justify few things related to that, and then you can file those here. Now, what is the age of what is the age? The age is 20 years. Okay, and you can this data will be provided by your patent office itself, right? A patent is a grant for invention by the government to the inventor in exchange of full disclosure of the invention. So this is this all you're doing on the daily basis. So you can just know the importance of the patent. But basically, if I talk about the patent, you're protecting your ideas by filing it. Okay, that it is nothing but your intellectual property. What can be patented and what cannot be patented? Everything cannot be patented, right? So an invention and not a discovery, it cannot be patented. Invention means a new product or process involving an inventive step and capable of industrial application. So that this thing can be invented. Something that is new or novel, right? Or something that has a use and can be made in an industry or can commercialize scale. Or for example, a doctor cannot patent a method of treating a patient. It is not a patentable idea. Okay. What cannot be patented? Some of the examples have been given over here. Okay, invention contrary to well-established natural. So you can just read it out over here. What cannot be patented? Like again, some of the examples have been given over here. Mathematical method or business method or algorithms. These are cannot be patented. Okay. How to your ideas is patentable. So you need to go for the prior art. That is the way to find out whether your idea is patentable or not, and that will be taken care of by your patent office. Okay. Documents required to file a patent. You can just see describe the problem you are trying to solve, because you need to prepare a document for it to file a patent. You need to give the description of the solution, existing other solutions that are already available, and why your idea is unique. difference between your solution and other existing solution, and importantly, keywords. Now, what is the copyright? Copyright is nothing but if I write something a unique code, it cannot be patented, but it can go for the copyright. Okay. How long? What is the age of this copyright? It's just given over here. So it will last for 60 years from the time of it has been granted to you. What are the a few examples? It can be a cinematograph, films, sound recordings, and photograph. Okay. So what is the design? A design means the shape, pattern, arrangement of lines or color combination that is applied to any article. So this is the definition given over here, given to eye-catching features as opposed to the function. Now, what is the age of this? A license is valid for up to 15 years once it is granted to you. What criteria should my design cover to be registered? So these are the few points which have been mentioned over here, very important. Now, these are the few snapshots or screenshot of the certificate which you receive from the Government of India. So you can just see trademark certificate, patent certificate, design certificate, and the copyright certificate. It is required in patent disclosure. You need to define a problem whenever you are filing a patent. You need to explain the proposed solution in very detail. Then you need to verify the existing solution and how it is different from your solution. Okay, and probably you need to give a block diagram, or you need to give a flow chart, or sometimes you need also to give a circuit diagram. See, these are the few snapshots of the design patents which has been granted. Okay, what to see while thinking an idea for a patent? No, it should be a novel or novel problem or novel solution. Novel implement. You see, everywhere I talk about the word novel. Okay, so it should be very new thing. Non-obvious use of existing solution and specific claim for existing solution. You can just see the type of design patents which has been granted over here. It's a crocodile type, like you can just see. Click. You can just see over here the modification in the bottle. Okay, you can just see over here. So these are the few snapshots which have been granted as the design patents. Now this is the origin software which you can use for the graphic for the graphs to be represented from the data extracted. Okay, not I'm going to talk much about it over here. Now, this slide I will added to find out whether your paper is Scopus index or not. So how to identify? Identify the journal first. Example, I take wireless personal communication. Now I need to know whether this is Scopus index or not. So you open skymega.com, type or paste the name of the journal, identify ISSN number of the journal. So everything is identified through ISSN number. Once you know the ISSN number, go to scopus.com, type ISSN number, okay, and you will get all the details related to the journal, whether it is discontinued or whether it is continued, from when to when it is continued, and till date it is continued or not. Okay, so whenever you choose a journal, you need to know whether it is Scopus index or not. So this is one of the way out to know it. So sources to search research papers: Scopus.com, SkyMega, Google Scholar, or you might be having different sources also. So this is my details where you can reach me out at this mail ID, and this is my WhatsApp mobile number and my regular number. These are my few achievements where I have reached 103 publications. This was a older one. At present, I have 117 publications on Scopus.com. These are the citations. The present citation is 550. Okay, these are the older one. I have not updated. So these are the Google Scholar screenshot which are present over here. This is one of the design patent which has been granted. So in total, I have total 12 design patents which are granted in my name. Quote is very important. I think if anyone can identify who has given this quote, I will appreciate it. Number one, a dream is not that which you see while sleeping. It is something that does not let you sleep. And the other quote is, if you want to shine like a sun, first you have to burn like a sun. So any of the listener can give me the quotes given by Dash. Fill up the blank. Do you know who has given this course? Any idea, listeners?
Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Yeah, exactly, sir. I'm the great follower of him, and they really practically they mean lot of things in your life. If you can read the first quote and the second quote. So the second quote is very interesting thing. If you want to come up in your life, you have to initially burn like a sun. Then only you will be recognized in this fund. Okay, so this is the meaning of internal meaning of that. Thank you very much for your patience, and I conclude my talk over here. Any questions is there? I'm ready to answer.
Yes, thank you, sir. It's yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Very excellent presentation. So I
Thank you, sir.
request any participant having any queries, you may ask, we can interact with the sir.
हाँ HR ऑफिस है ठीक है बिल्कुल है बस 2 मिनट में हमें वेट करना है
If any participant is having any queries, you can ask here.
Yes, madam.
Sir is ready to answer your questions.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Sir, I exactly couldn't follow the difference between array and MIMO.
Pardon?
Sir,
Between?
definitely, sir, there is an echo, it is coming.
Ma'am, if you
Yes.
can read out such question, I think it will be helpful for me.
The exact difference between MIMO antenna and array antenna.
Okay. So in MIMO antenna, what we do, we give feeding to the individual elements.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In case of array, we give a single feeding, but the signals are getting divided to both the radiators, maybe in the form of, it depends upon the design for what how you're designing that antenna. For example, there can be a phase difference between the two antenna element inputs.
Yes, sir.
So that's that is the basic difference between a MIMO antenna and a array antenna. And one more thing, the gain can be enhanced by using array antenna, not by MIMO antenna. Okay, so MIMO antenna will encounter the multiple path fading effects. It will
Yes, sir.
bring down the multiple path fading effects.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other participant?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Yes, sir.
Sir, can you discuss between the co-polarization and circular polarization for E-plane and H-plane?
See, there are totally two different concepts. Circular polarization means the vector component, yeah, the vector component of electric field in the x direction and the y direction. So when they're equal in magnitude, Ex equal to Ey. Okay. So we call it as a circular polarization, right? And
Yes,
the
sir.
cross polarization, what you know, for example, if I talk about the radiation, the required radiation in the XY plane, and what effect it is going to put on the perpendicular plane. So that is not the required radiation pattern, right? We don't
Yes,
require
sir.
any radiation pattern in XZ plane. We need that complete radiation pattern in XY plane. So the actually what happens is effect will be there in the perpendicular plane also. We need to reduce it. We cannot make it zero practically. We need to reduce it. So those polarizations are called as the cross polarizations.
But sir, the most of that co-polarization is more better than that compared to cross polarization. Sir, any justification, sir?
See, it all depends upon your design methodology. It's very important when you're designing something else. The
Yes, sir.
the concept of impedance matching, you know, it's very
Yes, sir.
important. So and naturally, see, the impedance matching is not much correlated to the radiation property of any radiating antenna. But still, it is a very important factor when you're designing any a particular antenna for any application. It depends upon what applications you're designing the antenna.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, welcome.
So any more queries? Thank you, sir. Thank you for your excellent presentation, sir. I request all the participants, so once you switch on your video so that we have a snap.
Then I request you to share this photo also with me.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
sir, if close this you're sharing, sir, so that we'll have
No problem. No problem.
photos, sir.
Please. Yeah, ma'am,
Request
please.
all of you, please switch on your videos.
Actually, I have another assignment which is going on. I will be reaching that. I have to reach that venue now.
Close chess. Sir Manish Sharma, sir, please once you close this sharing option, sir.
Okay, okay, right. I will do that. Just a second. Probably.
Okay.
Ma'am, I think I have unshared my screen now. Yes, ma'am, I have unshared my screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, so I request all the participants, please turn on your video. You know.
Ma'am, have you finished?
Full session, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. The photographs have been taken, ma'am.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It is very helpful for all the young researchers. So thank you so much. And the next session again will start tomorrow by 10 o'clock.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I leave the meeting?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now you may leave the session. Sir? Sir, you are telling something, sir. It is not audible. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.